living well equals being human. And this is super important because sometimes as leaders, we live our lives from a posture or in a place that we are unstoppable, that we're machines, that we're supposed to be perfect, that we're supposed to perform a certain way, because if not, we're not actually being good, or we're not impressive enough. But hey, let me tell you and let me remind you, you are human, and that is a good thing, and that is an okay thing. Welcome to the It Matters podcast. I'm your host, Walter Perez, and let's dive in as we help you grow your mindset and elevate your leadership. Hey everybody, welcome back to the It Matters podcast. I'm Walter Perez, your host, and I want to thank you for joining me in another episode. Not just any episode, though, because today is episode 100. And I got to tell you, I am over the moon and super excited, and I just can't believe I've made it to this many episodes. I can still remember the day that I had this idea, and it took me a long time to actually activate this podcast and to overcome my fears and find the courage to say, okay, I'm going to get out there and put something together, which is the It Matters podcast. And so the fact that, we're now on episode 100, we've had opportunities where I've brought you some teaching, some ideas, some thoughts, some encouragement. I've had guests on where we've had great conversations, some great people, some good leaders that have taught us so much. It puts me in this posture of not only being grateful and full of gratitude, but going back and man, what have I learned? I can't believe that we've had that many episodes in the last, almost 2 years. And so this is what happens when you become consistent and committed to bringing weekly episodes, weekly content, and weekly information that adds value. And so I'm very thankful for all of you as you continue to support and just become part of this It Matters community. And so I wanted to bring you an episode today as I just kind of reflect on this and what have I learned? What have I been doing that has really added value to me? And what is something that really kind of sticks out to me that I wanted to bring to you today? And that is this idea where I do talk a lot about leading well. And you hear me on my podcast, all my episodes where I say it's a win-win when the leader leads well. And so I stand behind that and I fully believe in that statement. But I've been thinking about this, and there's something more about what brings us to this posture of leading well. And that is this idea that if you're going to lead well, you're going to also have to live well. You're going to have to live well, because leaders who lead well live well. As leaders, we have to make this commitment to living well because it's super important. Whether you are actively in some sort of role where you're leading or not, or you're just living life, or you're just participating in being the person that you are on a day-to-day basis, I want to encourage you. I want to challenge you. I want you to think about this idea that living well is not only important, but it's going to be vital for the longevity of your life. For if you want to be wise, if you want to grow old and be able to still be effective in the future, you want to be able to enjoy your family, you want to be able to enjoy your life, you have to lead your well in a way that allows you to live well. And so I wanted to bring you a couple of thoughts, 3 thoughts here that will help you hopefully understand this better. And it's something that I've been meditating on so much that I'm going to make a shift in not only the way I lead, but in the way this podcast really comes out, and the way the leader functions, and the things that I'm doing, whether that's writing, are putting events on or producing podcasts or coaching, whatever it is, this is going to be a foundation in the way that I'm going to communicate. So I thought episode 100 would be perfect for this. And so this is the idea. Okay, point one, if we're going to live well, if we're going to be people that make this type of commitment, we have to remember that living well is being healthy. Living well equals to being healthy. We have to adapt this not only mindset, but this idea that healthy living is going to be a vital part of all this. And so here's some thoughts, okay? I've heard it say before, and I do believe that leadership is a full contact sport. And what I mean by that, and what I think what others mean by that as well, is that it invites everything, every part of you. It's mind, body. It becomes part of one of your not like skill sets, your tool sets. It's part of all of that. It's not separate. You don't just go and sharpen your skills by going and attending a workshop or going to school and you say, I become a better leader. No, your body and your mind, all of that is included. So when you are working out, when you are eating healthy, when you are protecting your mental health, that is part of everything when it comes to being not only a great leader, but living well. And so that is something that we probably hear people talk about it, but sometimes we don't really activate it or accept it in a way that it applies to you. And so I want to encourage you today to keep that on mind, because this is what happens. If you are leading from a posture of hard work, go, I am a go-getter, I need to get things done, but you're not keeping an eye on your mind and body, what's going to happen, what's going to be inevitable is you're going to burn out. You will burn out. You're going to get overexhausted. And there's a caution that comes to that. Many things can come from being burnt out, but as leaders, we need to be future-minded, future-sighted. We need to have big picture, thinking about what the future has in store for us. And we end up making decisions when we're burnt out from a short-sighted posture. We just need to, we just want to get through the day. We want to get through the moment. And we're not fully thinking of what the future implications really entail. And so burning out is never a place where we want to be, and we don't want to see the outcomes of that. And when we start making short-sighted decisions, it is only in due time that we're going to see the results of that are no good. And it's really going to cause a lot of pain for us and in us. And so we need to remember that we cannot separate this personal health from leadership performance. Like, we can't look at performance and effectiveness separate from our personal health. If we are not taking care of ourselves, if our personal health is not in line, on track, it will, I have no doubt, it will affect your performance. And if you're not seeing it yet, if you don't believe that, if you're not buying into that, you just give it some time and you will see. And I do not want not only you to pay the price for not paying attention to this, but your people and the relationships that you have and the people that you get to lead will suffer in that process, because they're going to get not only not a good leader from you, they're going to get the results of bad decisions and the bad leadership that you're bringing to the table. And so I really want you to think of that, because how we treat our bodies, how we see our minds, the fact that we are choosing to be healthy leaders is actually going to be a difference maker. And so maybe some questions that you can think of today, and just as you're driving, as you're listening, take some notes and think about this. Question one would be, where am I ignoring the signs of fatigue? Is there some stress in your life? Is there some imbalance? Is there some pain? Is there some warning signs that are coming your way that you're ignoring? So ask yourself, am I ignoring any signs right now when it comes to that area? And write it down. Think about it and meditate on that. What is one habit? Okay. There's probably many things that you could think of that you want to change, but what is one habit that you need to maybe start, you need to apply, but even just as important, maybe there's a habit that you need to take away, that you need to work through so that it gets out of your life. Have you paused lately to think about what habits you can start or take away? And maybe write one down and be gracious on yourself and allow yourself to work through one habit at a time. And maybe another question here to help you out is, are you leading from a place? This is going to be super important. As I said, leaders think about the future and they're long-term thinkers, visionaries. Are you leading from a place and at a pace that is going to be sustainable for the next, we'll say, 10 years, even 5 years, even 3 years? Are you going to be sustainable where you're at right now? And if you're not, it is time to change. It is time to make a difference. So I want you to think about that and write it down, journal it down, and be honest with yourself as you work through that. Because at the end of the day, this is what I really want you to get from this point, is that healthy leaders are present leaders. And when we're present, we then become aware of these things that are either being good for us or actually causing damage and hurting us. And we need to be aware of that. So then we know what to change, and how to move forward. All right. My next thought is that if you're going to be a leader that lives well and you're going to be living well, you need to understand that you need to be whole. Living well equals being whole. And this is one of the ideas that I've been thinking about often, because it's about understanding that there's this pursuit of inner stability that we need to have. We need to understand our identity. We need to understand that there's integrity involved in the way we present ourselves and the way we lead ourselves. And there needs to be this wholeness idea of how we approach life and how we live our life. So here's a thought. Wholeness needs to be about alignment. It's about aligning your values. It's about aligning your actions and your decisions. When we think about all that, when we think values, actions, and decisions, do they match? Are they congruent? Are they in line with the way we're living? And if one is off, we need to stop, we need to pause, and we need to think about that, because we want to be leaders that are congruent. We want to be people that are in alignment to what we believe and how we live our lives, and we can't be saying one thing, doing another, and vice versa. That kind of stuff. When leaders are insecure or are leading from a posture of performing or some sort of distortion in their lives, we become leaders that are reactive. We can be leaders that are not necessarily proactive. We're always just reacting to life happening to us. Life happens to us, and now we're going like, well, what am I supposed to do? Instead of us happening to life, instead of us going, well, this is how I live my life. I live my life on purpose. I live my life in a way that I am proactive in my decision making. I'm proactive in my thought life and in the way I live. And so we want to avoid being leaders that are reactive. And so understanding what causes us to live from a reactive posture is that we might have things in our lives that are distorted, right? Like I said, if we're trying to perform, if we're trying to if we're delusional or insecure or we're tired, or there's different things that can cause us to make those type of decisions because we're not leading from a healthy place, but more from a broken place. And so when we realize that wholeness is actually an asset, we then realize that it creates clarity. We realize that it creates confidence, and we realize that it creates courage. We then lead from a place of going, okay, I know who I am. I know where I'm going. I understand what is needed of me, and I understand what it's going to take for me to move forward. And so I want you to think of that. And so I have some questions for this part as well. If you're taking notes, if you're journaling, think about this. What part of my life feels out of alignment right now? Is there something in your life that is affecting you and it's keeping you from who you want to be? So what is not aligned in your life right now that you need to pay attention to? Okay. Where am I performing instead of being authentic? Are you caught up in this performance? Well, maybe another way to think about this is, are we being fake? Are we being somebody who we're not supposed to be? Are you actually being your authentic self? And so this is an important question. Where am I performing instead of being authentic? And then the third question would be, what's insecurities is quietly driving my decisions or behavior? So what are these insecurities that are not really showy, that are not at the forefront of your life, but they're kind of hiding, but in reality, they're actually driving a lot of your decisions and driving a lot of the way in the way you live? And so can you identify that? Do you even realize you have some insecurities that are actually driving some of your behaviors and some of your decisions? So as you think about that, I repeat and I say this, that wholeness is this quiet strength, okay? It is a strength behind your great leadership. In the way you're going to lead others, in the way you're going to lead yourself, and you're going to lead your life, it is going to be the strength that is rooted in your life, that may come across like it's not a big deal. It might be a quiet thing, but it's actually a very important thing. And so finally, I want to bring you a third thought, and that is that living well, it actually involves being human. Living well equals being human. And this is super important because sometimes as leaders, we live our lives from a posture or in a place that we are unstoppable, that we're machines, that we're supposed to be perfect, that we're supposed to perform a certain way, because if not, we're not actually being good, or we're not impressive enough. But hey, let me tell you and let me remind you, you are human, and that is a good thing, and that is an okay thing. And so being human, a part of being human is paying attention to relationships, or paying attention to the joy, the things that bring you life, bringing attention to your purpose, your why. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? Where is it taking you? And why is all of that important? So think about this. Leadership is deeply relational and not transactional. We've talked about that before. That is a super important thing to remember. That's what really makes us different as humans. And humans thrive in relationships. There is something about community, connection, and it's never meant to be transactional. And so if it is, and if you've been part of a transactional relationship or thing, you'll see that there is no life in that. You will see it really crumble down very quickly, and there is actually no purpose behind that. So really think about that. That true leadership is founded in relational connections. You can't lead people well if you don't treat yourself well, if you don't see yourself as a person, if you're treating yourself like a machine, if you're treating yourself like this object that is supposed to go, it will automatically translate and transfer into the way you treat other people. And so you have to see yourself as somebody valuable, as somebody who is human, somebody who's a person that has that is not only complex, but full of value and intricate. So then we can go see the value in other people, and we can love on them and treat them well and be kind to them, so on and so forth. So you got to stop treating yourself like a machine, or stop thinking like you're a machine, or looking at yourself like a machine. You are human, and that's super important. You're a person. With that, you're going to realize that joy, having purpose, having meaning, having connections will fuel you for the long term. Those are the key things that are going to help you be around. You'll be able to stick around for a long term, and it's going to be the game that you want to play. And so you're not just here right now and gone tomorrow, that you're actually setting up stability and longevity into your leadership game, into your life, into anything that you're doing. So think about these questions when it comes to this part. Who are the people that I need to slow down and be human with? Be human with again, potentially. There's some people that you have been, and you've kind of dropped the ball on that. So it involves slowing down. And slowing down is not your enemy. Slowing down can be a very healthy thing and a very important thing. So who do you need to slow down with? Which are the relationships that you have not paid attention to? And then you got to go back and say, okay, I need to take some time. I need to take a moment and I need to connect. Uh, Maybe you need to ask yourself this second question. Where are you losing joy? Where are you losing this happiness? Where are you losing this meaning in your life, and why? What has happened in your life that has caused you to now go like, this doesn't bring joy to me anymore? What may have happened? What is different today than a year ago or months ago, that that thing that did cost joy in your life is not costing anymore? Why? Think about those kind of things so you can actually assess and then know how to then deal with it and change it accordingly. Now, we hear that leadership is influence. And if that's true, then we have to then understand what is the root behind that influence. What causes us to influence others? Do we influence maybe out of love, or do we influence out of pressure? Do we manipulate, or do we truly care about the people? And do we truly care about people that come around us? And do we do it from a posture of love? Ask yourself those questions so then you know how to answer that and you know how to assess. Because being a leader, and not just a leader, to be the best leader, to be great leaders, you have to be fully human. And that is one thing that I've noticed from great leaders and things that I continue to learn, that it is okay to be fully human in this world. And it's actually, I encourage it so then that you will be able to lead to your greatest potential. And so I want to ask you just finally some questions, or I want you to just give yourself a moment right now to kind of figure out where you're at in all of this. And this is going to be more of a bit of a challenge for some of you, an encouragement. It's meant to be a diagnostic, a way for us to kind of figure out where we're at today. And so I want you to hear this, and I want you to rate yourself between 1 and 10. Very simple. First question: am I living at a healthy pace? Very simple. Are you living at a healthy pace right now? Rate yourself between 1 and 10. All right. Second question: am I living in alignment with my values? When you think about your values, are you a human right now? Are you a person that is aligned with all of that? And where would you rate yourself between 1 and 10? 1 not being good, and 10 being really good. And then your third question for today to help you with this is, am I living with relational and emotional intentionality? Are you being intentional when it comes to your emotions and your relationships? And where would you rate yourself between 1 and 10? Okay. So if you rated yourself on any of those below a 6, on any of those 3, I think you just identified yourself the work and the effort that you need to focus on in this next season. So this is just a great maybe episode to munch on, to think about, to really dissect as we go into the new year and go, okay, well, this is what I want to work on as I go into the new year, so I can now be that leader that is not only leading well, but actually is living well. Because that was the whole purpose of this episode, is I want you to live well. And if you haven't been, this is why you're listening today, so that you can adjust, you can make tweaks, you can make big alignment changes if that needs to happen. But we want to be people that live well, so then we can see our lives flourish, and we can see our impact, and we can see great things come out of that. And so I hope this encourages you. Let me know. You can contact me, show me, tell me how you rated yourselves. What are you working on in this next season? And let's continue to encourage each other to live well, because that is actually going to be one of the key foundations to helping us lead well. And so Thanks for joining me in another episode. I can't wait to do 100 more episodes with you. And as we bring on more guests, as we bring on more episodes, where we talk about real things that matter and that will help us be people that can flourish in life, that helps us, not only be healthy, helps us be whole, and of course, helps us be human. And in that, I know it is going to be a win-win when the leader leads well. I'll catch you in the next episode.